What's up, NFL fans? If you like today's show, I want you to share it on Facebook, Twitter, or even text. All you got to do is click the share button underneath this vid, because if you want to see more videos where we break down one player from each NFL team, the way that I can prove to my bosses that you like it is, guess what? You have to go and share it. One NFL trade candidate on each team coming at you here. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. The way that this video is going to go, I am going to basically give you one name on each NFL team that I believe is an NFL trade candidate. We are going to start division by division, and first, we're going to kick this thing off with the AFC East. AJ Epenesa. He was drafted out of Iowa. A lot of people saw him as being a first-round talent, yet he fell down the board a little bit. He's a name to keep in mind. Coming in next for the New England Patriots is N'Keal Harry. They've been going out and they've been making deals, whether it be trading for Devontae Parker. The trade rumors around Harry have been happening for months, hell, even years now. The next guy coming in is going to be for the Miami Dolphins. It's Myles Gaskin. New head coach Mike McDaniel. He's been extremely aggressive, going out and getting a bunch of running backs. The 7th round pick finds himself in this strange area, and for Miami, why not go ahead and trade him away and get something for him? Just something. The New York Jets are the final team in the AFC East, and Denzel Mims, coming out of Baylor, was a wide receiver that I thought was going to be a lot more successful. However, bad fit. I don't really think Zach Wilson is a good pairing for him, so make the deal. Let's go to the AFC North now, where I got the Cincinnati Bengals. Jessie Bates. He's going to be really happy that his division rival gave Minkah Fitzpatrick a brand new deal, making Minkah the highest paid safety in the NFL. Bates currently right now is franchise tag. He wants a new deal, and if he doesn't get one, could ask to be on his way out. I just mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers, and well, Johnson, he's not my buddy, but I do know Pittsburgh, they've been very, very good at being able to build linebackers, and if Johnson finds himself a little bit buried on that depth chart, which he is, could you get a 6th-round pick for him? Potentially. The Cleveland Browns, Kareem Hunt. They have the Ernest Johnson. They have Nick Chubb. What makes it interesting is Hunt, to me, is a top 32 running back, which means there are teams out there that could use him as a potential starting back. If you trade him, it saves Cleveland $6.25 million. The final name here for the AFC North, it's Chuck Clark. And if you've been watching a lot of Chat Sports programming, this one really shouldn't surprise you all that much. The fact that Baltimore drafted Kyle Hamilton at number 14 overall, the fact that they went and gave Marcus Williams a 5-year, $70 million deal, Clark, a good player, but he's got to be sitting there being like, wait a minute, what exactly am I supposed to do now? So if any of these players end up getting traded, we're going to make a video about it. So please join the Noti Gang, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and the way that you do that is you literally click the bell underneath the video, then click all. If you do that, you essentially get a text message that pops up on your phone that says, hey, Chat Sports just dropped the video. Let's go to the AFC South. Now I got the Tennessee Titans, Jeff Swaim. They went out, they got Austin Hooper this offseason, and one of the biggest needs for this team was finding a tight end that they could rely on. However, now Jeff Swaim's kind of like, well, I'm not going to play over Austin Hooper. Could he potentially want out? The Indianapolis Colts, Parris, Campbell. I liked Campbell when he first came out of college. Good player, electric, was a really good, we'll say, burner. Maybe not the best route runner overall. With your new quarterback, Matt Ryan, not sure if the pairing makes a lot of sense. The Houston Texans next up here, Ross Blacklock. When Houston went out this offseason, they had a lot of question marks on offense and on defense. They've done their best to try to build the defensive line, whether it be bringing back Malik Collins. So now Ross kind of sitting in this purgatory area, another player to keep in mind. And if you're not able to trade him, could also end up getting cut. The Jags, Jawaan Taylor. I thought the Jags were actually one of the more difficult teams to be able to wrap my mind around. He's a swing tackle at best. And for Jacksonville, you have your two starting left tackle or right tackle and left tackle. So for Jawaan Taylor, there's plenty of teams out there still that are looking for extra depth. The AFC West, I'd make the argument, is the best division of all time entering a regular season. And some are like, wow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, why would the Chiefs, a Super Bowl caliber team, move on from a running back that they drafted in round one just in 2020? The reason is, They just re-signed Jerick McKinnon, who straight up looked better than CEH last postseason, excuse me. They also went ahead and they signed Ronald Jones. So what does that mean for Clyde? Not exactly sure, man. The Las Vegas Raiders, Clelin Ferrell, drafted number 4 overall back in the 2019 NFL Draft. Has not really been a very good fit with whatever defense the Raiders have tried to run. You bring in a new defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. If somebody's willing to make the deal, you just have to make it at this point. If you're a Raiders fan, you guys know that I run the #1 Raiders show in the world right now. It's called The Raiders Report, and if you want even more exclusive videos around the team, follow me on Locals, where scan this QR code here or go to that link below, RaidersReport.locals.com. Let's go to the Chargers now. Another first-round bust, Jerry Tillery, big guy, and he's been another player that, unfortunately for him, hasn't had the best opportunities with defensive coordinators. He's getting new coaches, new DCs all the time, but the want and the love for football is a major question mark. The Denver Broncos, you're next up here on the list. Bradley Chubb, nobody's going to ever dispute the talent that Chubb has. However, people will dispute if he's going to be healthy or not. And for a player that a lot of people at one point probably would have said was the top 10 edge rusher, you kind of sit in this area and you're like, well, if we can get something for him, would you go and make the move? So let me know, y'all. AFC, we went through every single AFC team, and it's not always easy finding a trade candidate, but we had some people down in the comments a few weeks ago say, hey, could you give us a video on all 32 teams, essentially a trade candidate? And my answer to that was yes. We ended up getting it done. So give me a player that you think could be dealt out of the AFC. Coming up next is the NFC. We're going to go through all 16 teams in this division. But before we do, or I guess the conference, right? Today's show is presented by Rumble, and not only do we make videos on YouTube, we're also making videos over on Rumble as well. We are 110 followers away from getting to 5,000 over on Rumble, and if you're like, well, why the hell would I watch videos on Rumble when I can watch videos on YouTube? Well, one, I can drop F-bombs over on Rumble, which is kind of a cool thing, which is why if you want free and uncensored content, you can get it there. More sports, more news, more politics, all that good stuff. So please give us a follow, and probably the reason why I like Rumble the most for listening, if you watch a video on YouTube and if you minimize your screen, the video stops. If you're on Rumble, whether you're walking your dog, whether you're doing something else, you can minimize the screen and it'll still play in the background. So hopefully I persuaded you. Go to rumble.com/NFL Daily and give us a follow. We got to start in the NFC East here. We're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys, Jordan Lewis. Good player, had 61 tackles last season. However, Dallas is starting to invest in other players, and they have a lot of confidence in other cornerbacks, which makes Jordan Lewis the odd man out. Jalen Reagor, first-round pick out of TCU, ran a 4.4740, has been a question mark, has been a bust thus far. The fact that Philadelphia just traded for A.J. Brown and they drafted Devonta Smith last year in the first round, Jalen Reagor, you might as well move on from him. Another wide receiver coming at you here, Terry McLaurin. My man wants to get paid. He wants a new deal. He's been sitting out of minicamp, not showing up to OTAs. I will say that Washington Commanders head coach Ron Rivera says that they're not going to trade him. But I also know how many times this offseason and years past have we heard, this guy's never going to get traded. A few weeks later, ends up getting traded. The final player, another wide receiver, it's Darius Slayton. I think if the Giants are unable to trade Slayton, he's likely going to end up getting cut. His rookie season was his best year. The Giants have brought in Kenny Golladay. They brought in Kadarius Toney, a first-round pick. So now Slayton's sitting there like, well, all right, man, I guess I'm the odd man out. Let's now go to the NFC North. The Packers were a very difficult team to find a trade candidate for. So I'm going to throw Dean Lowry in there. More of just a depth player, could also end up getting cut. He did have 6 sacks last season. An interesting name to keep in mind here is Alexander Mattison, and it's not because he's not a good running back. I have him on this list because he is a good running back. I'm not sure how well he's going to fit in Kevin O'Connell's new system in Minnesota, but you know Dalvin Cook's the main guy. And if you think that you can get a 5th, 4th-round pick for Madison, I think Minnesota would do it. The next name, and one of the biggest names on our list of NFL trade candidates, Robert Quinn, coming off a season where he has had 18.5 sacks. He's battled some injuries. He is 32 years old. He wants a new deal. He has 0 guarantees on his final 3 years of his contract, making about $12 million per year. He probably wants to be in that $18, $19, $20 million range and wants to play for a Super Bowl contender. One team that I don't think is going to be a Super Bowl contender, it's the Detroit Lions. And Jarrad Davis, he's got a one-year deal with Detroit right now. Good linebacker, but he's mediocre at best for Detroit. You're planning for the future, and if you can get a mid to late round pick for Davis, I think you should at least entertain the idea. We still got 8 more trade candidates to get into, but y'all, it's the off season. I get it. You're a busy person. I'm a busy dude too, and I understand you can't watch every single video that we put out here at Chat Sports. So you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on TikTok, you can follow us on Instagram at Chat Sports. That way you stay up to date on everything going on around the NFL and NBA. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers next up on this list. Keanu Neal at one time was one of the best young safeties in all of football. Injuries have sort of plagued him, and now you're sitting here with Tampa. He's the backup strong safety and a name to keep in mind. The New Orleans Saints next up here on the list. It's Traquan Smith, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave. You're hoping that these are your top players going forward. I like Smith when he first came out of UCF, had some drop issues last season, and if Michael Thomas is there, he's your 4th, 5th best wide receiver. Deion Jones battling some injuries, but for Atlanta, they're trying to save money, and they are definitely trying to build for the future. Whatever team trades for him, if traded at all, you are going to have to pay him about $9.53 million. But if you're Atlanta, you end up saving like $24 million. I wouldn't mind saving $24 million. The next name here, Robbie Anderson for the Carolina Panthers. He's been pretty vocal this offseason about not being happy in the situation that he's in Carolina. I think it's because he knows Sam Darnold's his quarterback. He wants to get paid. What's going to be interesting is this. Carolina likes Robbie. He's had some success there, but Anderson doesn't always have the best off-the-field resume, if you will. The final division is the NFC West, and now we're looking at the defending Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams, another team. Not very easy to find a trade candidate because, hell, seems like they're trading for everyone. But I am going to throw Taylor Rapp on this list. Andy Isabella next up for the Arizona Cardinals. With all the moves that this team has made over the past 2 seasons, whether it's going out and drafting Rondale Moore, whether it's trading for Marquise Hollywood Brown during the draft, Andy Isabella is a talented receiver, has got good speed, but where exactly does he fit on the depth chart? Another name here, big-time name, Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, I think, personally has handled this situation really, really poorly, and there's been reports that they might have to cut Jimmy G. If that's the case, just trade him. For the love of God, just trade him for something. That way, you're not screwing yourself over. And then, the final name here for the Seattle Seahawks, it's DK Metcalf, who is a unbelievably talented player at 24 years old. But for Seattle, not that DK's not talented, but I don't think he's going to put up quite the numbers that he's put up in years past because Drew Lock, Geno Smith, they're not as good as Russell Wilson. So why am I going to pay DK $24, $25 million a year? That's not what I want to do. And for Seattle, you're building for the future, which DK should be a part of. But I actually think if you lowball DK, you're going to end up making more money in the long haul for Seattle. So what do you think here, guys? Name a player from the NFC that you believe could be traded this offseason. Go down to the comments because I'm going to be looking. Now, if you made it this far in the video, we're going to cycle through these one more time. And just like I asked in the very beginning of today's show, please take a screenshot, post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram. Hell, if you want to make a TikTok about us, just remember to tag us at Chat Sports. We are literally at Chat Sports everywhere. And who knows, you might see it being shared on our Twitter. You might see it being shared on our Instagram story. We are trying to grow on social media because we know it's a very important thing in today's time. I appreciate everyone who came across today's video and enjoy the rest of your day. But make sure you're subscribed because if any of these deals go down, we're going to be making a video.